What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Illinois 300 Top 5 DFS Picks video for Sunday, June 5th at Gateway or Worldwide Technology Raceway, whatever you want to call it. It is a newer track for the Cup Series, but we have raced here in the lower level series before. But either way, as always, I'm your host, Chris Pennell. You can follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16, and this video is presented by PrizePicks. In today's video, we are going over general track strategy, how to approach the slate from a DFS perspective, and my top 5 favorite plays on the slate. Keep in mind this video is being recorded pre-practice and qualifying, so some of my thoughts and opinions on these drivers could end up changing throughout the weekend. So making sure you're staying up to date on what happens in practice today, later this evening on Friday, or qualifying on Saturday will be very beneficial to you when creating fantasy NASCAR lineups this weekend. And if you want that up-to-date info and analysis, you can find me and Jason on the Awesemo Live Before Lock show, or break down the entire slate and answer any questions you may end up having. And as far as how we should approach the slate from a DFS perspective, it is a newer track for the Cup Series, like I mentioned earlier, so I don't have really any data to pull from it. But the good news is that we do have some similar tracks that we can at least try to compare to Gateway this weekend. It's a shorter flat track. It's 1.25 miles in length, and we have 240 laps on tap this weekend, which means not a lot of dominator points, especially for a short flat track. Typically, we're looking at 300 to 400 some laps for the shorter track. So it's going to be a bit of a shorter race, which I think everyone's probably thankful for after last week's 5 to 6 hour race, which took forever. So looking about half that this weekend, which is fine. But if you're looking for similar tracks, just look to the short flat ones. We have Phoenix, Richmond, New Hampshire. You can kind of throw in Martinsville, but it's a really kind of more so a unique track. But I'm going to be focusing on the other three for the most part, but all short flat tracks in general, I think should be considered. We've already raced at 2 or 3 if you want to include Martinsville earlier this year. So at least we do have some data points that we can pull from. But with 240 laps on tap, we're pretty much looking at 2 to 3 dumb builds. Probably more of an emphasis on 2, depending on how qualifying shakes out. You might be able to stretch it into 3 or maybe even 4. Like I said, it just depends on who gets on the pole or who's starting in the front row, depending on how cheap or expensive they are. And then targeting drivers that have been fast so far this season, this aero package or as fast in practice is going to be the best way I think we should probably approach this slate, especially from a tournament perspective, because if you're just going straight PD, yes, a lot of times place differential does hit, but you're going to need some dominators mixed in as well. So getting into the picks, we will start with number 5 here. And number 5, we have Aric Almirola, $7,000 on DraftKings, and he's also the same price over on FanDuel. And while he's not everyone's most exciting drivers, and I've been a little bit lower on the Fords in general this season, I always love Almirola at short flat tracks. He tends to perform very well with them. And in the few race sample size we have at them this year, an average finish of 13.7 with a running position even better than that at 13.1. Also has 2 top 15 finishes. And if you're looking at his numbers the past 10 races, including some races from last year, he has one of the better average finishes in the field of 10.5, a good running position, several top 10s, and even a top 5 and a win. So I think Aric Almirola is a bit underpriced this weekend. If you're looking at his odds over in Vegas to win this race, he's looking at plus 3,000 compared to most people in his price range being at plus 6,000. So I do think we are getting some pretty decent value on Aric Almirola this weekend. And before we get into our next pick, I want to talk about our sponsor, PrizePicks. They offer daily prop-based contests. You can use promo code Awesemo for a $100 first match deposit bonus. There is no sharks, optimizers, or mass entries. 5-player lineups can add up to 10 times your entry fee. Use your knowledge of multiple sports with cross-sport entries. You can download in the App Store, over on Google Play, or on PrizePicks.com. Use our free player props tool to help you make the best selections. And you can get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit over at PrizePicks. You'll receive an email within 24 to 48 hours after to redeem your free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. And moving on to number 4, we have another Ford here for Stewart-Haas Racing. His teammate Chase Briscoe is $7,800 on DraftKings and up to $8,500 over on FanDuel. But similar to Aric Almirola, if you're comparing odds in Vegas, his are a lot better than most of the drivers in his price range, and he was super fast last weekend. He's also a winner at a short flat track earlier this season, which I think will bode well for him. Last year wasn't really great at the short flat tracks, but so far this season is doing pretty well with them with an average finish of 7th. Also has 2 top finishes, and he's finished in the top 15 each and every single time. And I think below $8,000 does give him some nice value. He's averaging close to 60 DraftKings points per race at similar tracks this year. So Briscoe, a guy that has showed spurts of speed so far this year, hasn't really been amazing overall, but at the short flat tracks, it seems like he's got a pretty fast car. And if he can carry the speed that he had last weekend into this week, he should be looking really nice under $8,000. And moving on to number 3, his price seems to keep coming up, and I'm still going to keep playing him. It's Christopher Bell, $9,200 on DraftKings, $9,500 over on FanDuel, but he just continues to have a really really good season. And now we're at his best track type, the short flats, which is something he's excelled at, even dating back to his Xfinity days. So I think this is going to be a really nice week for Christopher Bell. Honestly, could end up winning this race. I would not be surprised about it. The JGRs and Toyotas have been very fast in general, and Christopher Bell has been amazing. He's never priced like his teammates because he doesn't have quite the name value and is a younger driver, but he's been performing very well. And if you're looking at his past 10 races at the short flats, he's got 7 top 10 finishes, which is only behind guys like Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, which are some of the best drivers in the field. So he's in really good company there. Average finish of 10.3, one of the best drive ratings, and also 3 top 5s as well. And the way he's been racing this year, I would not be surprised if he's able to get up front, lead some laps, and maybe contend to win this race. So while he is in the 9K range, and we're usually playing him in the 8K range, I still think he's worth this price tag, and I'm hoping that gives him a little bit lower ownership. And moving on to number 2, it's a favorite driver of mine. It's Ryan Blaney, $9,600 on DraftKings and only $10,500 over on FanDuel. And Blaney hasn't had the best luck this year, especially at the intermediates. But now that we're at a short flat track, I think it's kind of time to hop back on the train because Blaney got off to a really hot start this year. It's definitely trailed off quite a bit, but at the short flat tracks in 3 races, he has been one of the best drivers, and he's been in the optimal lineup numerous times. So I think it's time to finally hop back on board. But close to 80 DraftKings points per race. He's got the best average finish in the field of 5th, average running position of 5th, which is only behind William Byron, who basically just dominated, was up front the entire time at Martinsville, which is really going to bump those stats up. The second best drive rating, he's finished in the top 5 2 out of 3 times, and in the top 10 3 out of 3 times, which is 100% success rate, and close to 100 laps led per race. And he's always been good at the short flat tracks his entire career, especially dating back to last season. So at this price point, I think you have a good chance of getting a cheap potential dominator, which might allow you to get into other expensive dominators, since Blaney's not that expensive, since he's only in the 4-figure range. And finally, my number 1 play for the Illinois 300 at Gateway, or Worldwide Technology Raceway, it's got to be no other than Ross Chastain, $10,000 on DraftKings, $11,500 over on FanDuel, and we have finally gotten Ross Chastain in the 5-figure range. He has been in those 4 figures the entire season, but the way he's been racing this year, honestly, I don't think you could argue him being the most expensive driver on the slate. He's just been that good this year, and he's coming off over a 100-point DraftKings points race last weekend at the Coke 600. And he's also a winner here at Gateway in the Truck Series, so that is something to keep in mind because some of these drivers don't have any experience. Obviously, we're going to have some practice, but I think that will help Chastain. I like that price over on FanDuel, as it really hasn't moved much in recent weeks, but he's been pretty much the best driver this year. I mean, there's been a couple guys that have been pretty close to him, like Kyle Busch, but Ross Chastain is absolutely killing it. And he's finished in the top 5 2 to 3 times at these short flat tracks this year. And if you're looking at his 2022 season in general, absolutely killing it. The most DraftKings points per race, the best running position, the best drive rating, and 4 top 5s, which is tied for the most with Kyle Larson. So I really don't think there's any reason not to like Ross Chastain. I'm hoping the alleviated price tag keeps some people off of him, but I have no problem with it. I think we have to start treating him as arguably the best driver in NASCAR as of right now. Maybe not skill and talent-wise overall, but the way he's been running this year, it's really hard to argue against it. So just to recap our top 5, coming in at number 5, we have Aric Almirola. Number 4, Chase Briscoe. Number 3, Christopher Bell. Number 2, Ryan Blaney. Number 1, Ross Chastain. And all these drivers have either been very fast at the short flat tracks this year or just killing it in general. And I think they're going to show a ton of speed coming into this weekend. And if you did end up enjoying today's free content, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and leave a comment down below agreeing or disagreeing with any of the takes that I had throughout today's videos. We'd love to hear your comments over on Awesemo. And you can follow us on Sunday for the Live Before Lock show with me and Jason. We'll break down the entire slate post-qualifying and practice so we have the most up-to-date information. And we'll try to answer all the questions you may end up having. With that being said, I wish you all the best of luck this weekend, and I'm looking forward to the race at the newer track for the Cup Series.